So, welcome everybody. I have one of my favorite people on this earth, John Fry, here with me today. He is the president of Temple. He is one of our great civic leaders. He's just an amazing person. Sorry to embarrass you, John, but that's truly how I feel about him. And actually, I'm going to introduce you the way I feel about you. And again, I know you don't like whatever. I don't want to say you don't like compliments, but it's not your favorite thing, but you deserve this. I mean, the way I know you is like everything you touch, like works and is successful, whether it's, rebuilding Franklin and Marshall, University City, the Squash Center. I mean, now you're going over to do you are at Temple doing fantastic things. It's really remarkable. And the way you have changed our city and actually our state is a lesson for everybody. And that's how I know you personally. And of course, when you were chair of the chamber board, you said something that I thought was crazy at the time. You said, Sue, someday you could be chair of the chamber board too. And it blew my mind. And I thought, okay, now maybe he's kind of wrong. But you did that for me and you empowered me. And actually, this empowerment series, in large part, is because of your doing that for me and believing in me. So that's my different but really authentic introduction of you. So I just want to thank you and say that. And I also, really though, what I want to ask you is, as our great leader, when was that moment when you bet on yourself? Like, when did you decide to do that?
Right, right. Well, before I respond to that, I just want to say to what you just said to me right back at you. And I won't take too much of our time complimenting you, but Sue, but I've told you before that I think that your tenure at the chamber during COVID was one of the greatest acts of leadership that I've seen in all my years in Philadelphia. You literally held a lot of people together, the staff, the big board, and you made us feel like, look, we have purpose. We got to march forward. This is super difficult. We don't know when it's going to end. It's tragic. It's disruptive. And, I just remember, week in and week out, your calm, methodical, positive sort of influence on all of us. And that took enormous courage and enormous strength. And I'll never forget that. And so um, I do remember telling you that I thought you could be the chamber chair. And boy, did you do an amazing job. So thank you to you. And thanks for including me in the conversation today.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you.
I think to me, the moment when I started to sort of view myself maybe more as a leader and less as a sort of consultant, which is sort of what I had been doing before, is when Judy Roden was the president of Penn from 1994 to 2004. Asked me to come to Penn in '95 to be the executive vice president, and she clearly saw something in me that I did not see in myself. The ability to help lead a large and complicated organization, without the kind of requisite experience. And I think Judy, knew I had it in me. I can certainly tell you I didn't think I had it in me. But I think that moment was, when she offered me, the job, and I sort of said yes, but being very nervous about saying yes because I wasn't sure I could do it. And then I remember vividly my first day of work, which I believe was April 1st of 1995, and I got in
April
early.
Fools, right? April
April
Fool's
Fool's,
Day.
right? Yeah, hadn't even thought of that exactly. Got to my desk in the Franklin Building at Penn, sat at that desk, and said, "You know what? Whether I'm prepared or not, I am it, and I need to start. I need to start acting as the leader that my new boss believes I am." And in a way that was a little bit scary and harrowing, but in a way it was also very sort of empowering that this person has given me the chance of my life, and I am not going to blow it. I am going to take it and I'm going to run with it. And the things that I need to learn, I'm going to go learn, and the things that I know how to do, I'm going to do as fast as I can. But
You
that
know,
that 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 to me was the big turning point in my professional life.
I love it. And, I remember that, John, because as you know, I was at Penn and I was like, who is this warm, I would say charismatic guy who was like leading us all forward to transform University City, which was not in the cards before then. I mean, you were the leader. And I just remember you always being so wonderful and inclusive of everyone, including me. And so, do you think that is part of your success in empowering others and believing in yourself? I mean, I think your charisma, your who you are as a person, the way you, listen to people. I certainly learned that from you about really reaching out. Like, how many times have I asked you for advice, and boom, you respond right away. And so, do you think that's a part of that success in how you've had all these unbelievable transformations?
Um, I think it is definitely yes. And I also remember growing up watching my parents deal with, friends and neighbors and relatives, and how impressed I was about how deeply they listened to what other people were telling them, how interested they always were in what other people were doing, and how they sort of locked in on that person and without having any sort of sense of distraction, just made them feel good, made them feel important, made them feel heard. And I remember just watching them and saying, people seem to really like my parents because my parents seem to really like people. And I think that some of that rubbed off on me. And it has been an essential part of what I've tried to do as a leader is always remember put the person that you're dealing with first, really zero in on what their needs are and what their issues are and what they're telling you, and take that with you and take it seriously.
I remember your first chamber board meeting as chair. I'll never forget it. And someone was presenting. You took your chair and you were at the head of, this big impressive, meeting with all the CEOs and leaders in the region. You took your chair and you pivoted to the person who was speaking and you zeroed in. It was totally authentic and sincere, but I thought, what a lovely like gesture. It was a gesture of respect. It meant just what you were saying. So it's really interesting that you got that from your parents and you took it forward. But I just thought it was a wonderful sort of I hear you and I respect you move. So I'll never forget
Yeah.
that.
Well, and look, the least a leader can do is when someone has come to visit or is talking to us about something important, they become the leader, and they deserve our complete attention and focus.
Love it.